Amazing. Okay, so my topic is the Staples baddie, which that's just what, like, when I Googled, I was like, Staples TikTok, and like Google said Staples baddie, and I was like, okay, cute. Okay, so Staples baddie is a woman named Kaden Rowland, who is a 22-year-old print specialist at a New York Staples, who went viral on TikTok, basically like a couple weeks ago for her authentic ASMR style and slang heavy videos highlighting the store's services. So like she's literally creating TikToks talking about like direct mail or like how to make a big flyer, just to give you an idea. And like in her Staples uniform, and her content has generated millions of views and increased foot traffic, with Staples acknowledging and exploring collabs with her. So first of all, I think like the analysis here is like Staples did not fumble this. Like when you sent me, I think you sent me a link from Rachel Carton, who I love, and she was like, we're just asking, praying for brands not to screw up. And it's like so true. It's like, guys, when someone hands on you a silver platter, I love your brand, all you have to do is amplify that. And for some reason, it's so hard every time. And I don't know why. Is it because these are big organizations and there's approvals or budget, or they don't know who needs to do what? But Staples nailed it. Kaden ended up filming a TikTok where like she's at Staples, of course, and she's receiving like 24 red roses from Staples being like, here are your flowers, girl. Thanks for working so hard. And she's like, Staples, we're official, and like, you know, whatever. And everyone's like, yay, Staples. And I mean, the fact that like we're cheering for Staples.
Yeah.
I mean, when is the last time you've been inside of a Staples? Like, I don't even know. Um, so it's just been really heartwarming, very pure. Like, and that kind of goes back to your like, hey, we like just want somebody to root for. Like, we just want to be happy.
Yeah.
Like I think is really great. And for me, I know you mentioned it on previous episodes, but I just think about the Anthropic Claude bot fumble where
Mhm.
literally the product was named after Claude. And instead of being like, thank you, Pete, that was the creator,
Mhm.
they like sent him a cease and desist,
Yes.
and then OpenAI hired him. So what not to do versus what to do. Be like Staples. Don't
Mhm.
be like Anthropic, even though in general I really like Anthropic. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, this reminds me of there was like a couple years ago, this happened to a Target employee. He had like a gift wrapping station and, Target also put him on their socials and stuff. The one thing I'll say is like, I do hope she is getting some compensation for this.
She is. Like, people in
Oh,
the
love it.
comments were like, "This better be an official partnership." And then she's like, "Yeah." Like, someone was like, "Yes, this is official partnership. She's getting paid in addition to her print specialist salary." So, like, they're taking care of her too. Yeah.
Nice. I love that because that's always been like one of my biggest like concerns slash complaints where it's like you want to reward these people because they're being so authentic and genuine about it. And you want to, create that cycle where it's like you want to reward the people who are, doing these things for you with money and not just, the attention that
Pat
they're
on the
going to
back.
get. So it's pretty cool. I like that they're doing that. I also wanted to bring up that I saw Home Depot is having, a similar
Moment
situation.
today.
Yeah. It just, came out today. It was a New York Post article saying how, moms are taking their kids to Home Depot because it's like the original busy board, right? Where it's like you have these different textures and, colors and things for them to do. And I saw somebody else tweet that, hey, you can take your kid on Saturdays they do like a children's craft hour.
Yep. Yep.
Um and I think that was like really neat because it's like one of those things where it's like, yes, we're all looking for things for, kids to do that's, safe. It's funny because I would have thought that like Home Depot would be like a no go because it's like they have like dangerous, things
Mm-hmm.
there, like machinery and like paint and, big buckets and, heavy stuff, right? What we haven't seen is what Home Depot is
Oh,
going to
you're gonna
do.
do.
Please, Home Depot, do not fuck this up. Like, use it as a way to highlight, moms that do take their kids to Home Depot.
Yeah, I was looking at their social, and like they talked about like something with like March Madness like a couple
Uh-huh.
days ago. So it looks like they kind of have a social presence. I mean, for them it'd be so easy to be like, hey, yeah, come by. And by the way, the
Hmm.
first Saturday of every month, we have our
Right.
kids builder option thing, which like my son has gone to with his
That's so cool.
grandparents, and he
Yeah.
has loved it. And so it's like, as a reminder, we're a great place to come. And like, even
Mhm.
if you just need air conditioning to push around. I mean,
Right.
there were some people who are like, Home Depot's not for kids. Rah, rah, rah. I'm like, all right, whatever. But I think it's like we talk about UGC, user generated content. It's like FGC, fan generated content,
Mhm.
and then even like EGC, employee generated content. It's like every single person now in this age can be a detractor or a booster of
Yeah.
your brand, and like just ride that wave instead of trying to fight against it or have this like perfect brand narrative. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you just got to take it and run.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, that reminds me, there was some viral tweet, and I always, like, remember this because she's like, "Why are people taking their kids to Costco?" And I'm like, "Are you
Are you
fucking kidding me?"
tell me
Like,
you don't have a kid
well,
without
I
telling me
know,
you
right?
don't have a
I'm
kid.
like, Costco is the one store that has a two-seater cart that both of them can sit in. Of course, families take their kids there, and who else is shopping for bulk, you know?
And the $1.50 hot dogs, we're all going out for 10
Right?
bucks tonight, baby. Like,
Exactly. So it's like the companies that are becoming like family friendly and are thinking about how they can invite, more families in, I think are going to be a lot more successful than the ones that are trying to spurn, people for being like genuine and authentic. And, talking about what you're saying about like user generated content and all that, like for most marketers, that's the goal. That's end state. You want your like fans to be developing content for you, right? It's funny because talking about, Claude, Claude just launched Claude ambassadors, right? What do you
mhm.
think Pete was, right? Like he was one of the biggest Claude
Who's
ambassadors
literally
out
the
there
first
telling
cloud
you
ambassador
how you
ever.
could, right. So I wonder if like they could have talked about that and been like, "Hey, we know we fumbled that. That's why we're now creating this new Claude Ambassador program." I talked about this last week. I think it's a win. They're acknowledging that getting ambassadors to speak about our product and promote us by talking about what they're building and how their use of AI is changing their lives is the best way to create, user generated content. Without it being, completely organic, right? But here you have examples of companies doing it with like the gift handed, to them from like users or employees, right? One of the lessons learned is how can you give fans, employees, consumers um, an easy way to create content for you, right? Like obviously, you don't want your stores to be overrun with, a bunch of creators. Like we've seen, with Target, right? Like Target for a while there became like a place that a bunch of content creators were just creating content, like and involving like the employees without them actually wanting to. So there do have to be guidelines that you're doing in order to make sure that your employees are safe. But you also want to be able to, kind of create that content and make it easy for them to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing, like for me, takeaway, like I work in B2B land, which is like boring, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I mean, compared to like cool, fun,
Sure.
cute consumer things. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, what am I? I'm telling my team, I'm like, guys, we are selling problem solving. If we do not solve customers' problems, we don't get to come to work every day. And so, like, I think the thing is like, how can I bring more emotion and have, show customer stories and showcase use cases and make people happy? Like, that's applicable in business settings too. And it's like, I think people kind of sometimes think like, oh, B2B, B2C. And it's like, well, who are on buying committees? People. And do
Mhm.
people have feelings and problems? Yes. And so I think that's also something that I'm kind of taking away is I'm like, how do I elevate and amplify my community's voices and, my employees' voices, even though it's just software?
Mhm. Well, but, people are buying the software, right? So it's like I wanna hear from another person why your software is something that I should buy, right?
And
I
I
don't
mean, like
always need to hear it. Right.
Notion obviously absolutely crushed it on this with, like their Notion ambassadors and it's
Right.
cute and the little blocks. So I mean, obviously you can have a software and like have an identity and feel that way. But I feel
Mhm.
like a lot of people will be like, oh, I sell, to businesses, so like I can't be fun. And it's like there's probably something you can learn.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, I think the whole point of this podcast is to show you the different things that you can take and what lessons you can kind of, transform to fit your own company and your own marketing strategy. Anyway, that's what I hope people are doing.